Welcome to Therapy Facts with Dr. Jenn. Today we are talking about the interview with Kirk Franklin as Club Shay Shay, as well as the Kirk Franklin documentary. Today we are talking about point 4, secrets and lies can be worse than the truth. Woo, should I say it again for the people in the back? Secrets and lies can be worse than the truth. So, one of the highlights of the Kirk Franklin documentary is that he spent a lot of time looking for his real father, his biological father. He asked his mom early on who his father was, and she identified someone. Well, guess what? That person died, and after that person died, then another person was identified. And that person took DNA test, did DNA testing, and was found to be the father. And so Kirk's big question for his father was, did you know? And he said, I didn't know. And Kirk said, how is it that nobody knew that my mother was pregnant with me when she was pregnant? And father said, I was a kid. And nobody said, hey, mother was a kid too. And Kirk's idea was that somebody should have known. There should have been people outside of his mother and the labeled father who would have had some idea who his father was, so that he would not have to rely upon one or two people to give him that truth. And he is absolutely right. He talked about growing up and being in a very small community and how people knew everybody's business, where there's no reason to believe that everybody didn't know his mother and his father's business as well. And so sometimes it's easier when we have anguish about truth or lies to just assume that what we believe is the truth. And that is so that we can process, grieve, and move forward. Oftentimes, when people lie and they keep that lie going, it can be very difficult for the recipient of the lie to understand anything about the circumstance, and certainly understand enough to be able to grieve and move on, to process, grieve, and move on. In this case, we're talking about who the father is. Other times, we're talking about who the mother is. Other times, we're talking about circumstances of trauma. Whatever the issue is, the best case scenario for everybody involved, and especially children, is to just be honest. Sometimes things happen and they're very complex adult issues that impact children, and adults don't think, oh, I should talk to my child about this, at least in a way that children might understand. And so children are left again to assume that something is their fault, even things that they don't have any idea about. And so they grow up and they have these misconceptions about things being their fault, which are not. They then pass on those feelings and those circumstances of lies and secrets onto the next generation. The best scenario is to be honest with everybody in the circumstance, at least when they're children, at least as much as a child can possibly understand. For example, if there's something where one parent is leaving, hey, your mom and I are breaking up because we no longer want to live together. This has nothing to do with you. This is not your fault. You are not the responsibility. You are not responsible for our deciding to move apart or deciding to get a divorce. Provide that information so that the child understands what is happening and they understand that it is not their fault. If you allowed your children to grow into adulthood without explaining traumatic incidents or situations to them, go to your adult children and say, hey, this is what happened. And this was our responsibility. This had nothing to do with you. You would be surprised at the number of adults who have children inside their minds who believe that they were responsible for adult behavior. This is also something that therapists deal with very frequently, having to help explain to adults that there is no way that different things that happen to them and or around them could have been their fault. But many people don't go to therapy. Many people don't get explanations and apologies from parents as adults, so they don't know. And so those children that are still living in those adults' heads then impact other children and other generations. And so if you have a secret, if you are holding a lie, please take the opportunity to set that secret free and to set that lie straight. Because in as much as those secrets and lies may have protected people at the time, other people who haven't even been born yet are at risk, are at danger of being impacted by those secrets and lies. The best thing you can do, the best gift you can give is truth, clarity, and accountability. If you don't, you risk impacting people that you have never met, people who have not been born yet, and people that you may never meet. So cut the chain, clip the chain, break the chain of intergenerational trauma by releasing your lies and releasing your secrets and setting your lies straight.